Welcome back to the Ultra Ascent Podcast, episode 16. Episode 16 should be a shorter pod for the boys today. Don't have too much going on right now. I got a backyard ultra in a few weeks, so we'll be getting ready for that, gearing up for that. But Proc, you did something fun and exciting this past weekend. A little adventure on the Grand Canyon rim to rim to rim.
Yep. All
So this was your third time doing it.
Nope.
Second
Second
time.
time. Yeah, the first time I did it was back in November, Thanksgiving. I did with Natalie and our friends Dan and Sarah Humble. And we did it from the North Rim, that's closest to us in Salt Lake City here. I think it's like a 6-hour drive, maybe something like that. Um, and we stayed in like an Airbnb, and then drove to the trailhead. Then this time, since the North Rim is closed over the winter, it's a little bit higher in elevation than the South Rim, so it gets a bit more snow. And with that, the road they close, I think, 45 miles to the North Rim at a gate. So we elected to go now, rather than wait until May and when it's a bit more hot and less manageable. So myself, my friend Zach, otherwise known as Trails with Zach, and then a guy I met before with Zach had known from like a group run that he had done at some point, I think this last summer, Barrett. Um, we had all packed into Barrett's car and sent it down there on Friday. Got down there um, late afternoon, early evening, and kind of just settled in at like I don't know, it was like a federal, just like forest land campsite where you can just kind of sprawl out wherever you want. And it was nice just being able to relax and chill out and not have anything really going on. Just laying down, reading book, playing chess with Zach on his phone. He's so funny. He said in like the past 3 months he's played like 600 games of chess on his phone,
No.
and he said he was like embarrassed that I beat him like 2 out of 5 times because like I've played maybe like 7 games in like 10 years. I don't know what it was, but like it was just pretty funny to be able to like play with him and just hang out with the guys. And on the way down there, we stopped at a really good place in, I think it was, where was that? What town was that? Kanab. It was Escobar's. We got like burritos and um, smothered burritos, and they're super good, really good food. So if you're ever on the way down from Salt Lake, Escobar's is really good. I mean, it's inevitable you're gonna pass through Kanab anyway, no matter if you're starting at the South or North Rim. And on the way out, it was funny. Zach had his Trails with Zach hat on that someone had made for him and just gave to him on a group run. It's like a nice little like mountain patch, and it says like Trails with Zach. And the president of Relight, which is like Redmond's electrolytes branch, um, like saw that, and I guess he like must have looked up Zach's name, and he's like, "Oh, it looks like you got." He was like a total boomer. He's like, "It looks like you got 11,000 followers, and we got kind of like it looks like you must be an influencer or something." So he ended up giving us each like a bag of like 7 like little sample single serving packets of electrolytes for the Grand Canyon. And
Were they good?
yeah, they're good. Yeah, I mean, Natalie and I use this on a daily basis anyway. Like this is all we use, Relight, Redmond's Relight, for our electrolytes anyway. So I didn't tell him that in the moment that we already use them, but Zach and Barrett had it, and I think Zach went down there with less electrolytes than I think he um, should have. So it was nice that like we kind of got like a nice little angel stop by and basically just like
Yeah.
give us a little care package of electrolytes. So that was super nice. I think hopefully Zach will make some like post about it and just tag them so that they know that we were able to use them and stuff. But then we got to the North Rim and chilled out, like I had said, and we didn't like bring any like food or like actual camp gear. We just literally brought our like our sleeping pads and stuff, and it was clutch because it ended up being fine because Zach had a friend, luckily enough, in Flagstaff, about an hour and a half south of the Grand Canyon South Rim, and he ended up bringing up camp chairs, like a camp grill, turkey burger, like
Nice.
supplies, avocado, tomato, chips, the whole like shebang. So we were able to like feast and like have like an actual good meal. and like actually sit down before the big effort the next day. Otherwise, we'd been just like sitting there with like growling stomachs laying down on the dirt. But ended up being really good. So shout out to Dylan for doing that. It was such a clutch move. I still have to Venmo him. Actually, that reminds me.
Just do it right now. Just do it right now on the pod.
No,
do it right now.
It's gonna take too long. And it was my first time cowboy camping, which means like not using a tent and kind of just like laying on the ground and just like looking up at the full moon, which was pretty like I'd been hesitant to do it at first just because with like animals and snakes and all that type of stuff, but
yeah,
it ended up being pretty peaceful and nice. And I just put my like little beanie over my eyes and tucked into my sleeping pad, and it was super nice. Honestly, it was like the perfect temperature at night out there. It was like 55, 60. We went to bed at around I think 10 or 11, and maybe earlier, and then we ended up waking up at 2:30.
it's a
Barrett
quick
and
turnaround.
Barrett and I half hoped that like Zach's alarm would go off because we shut off ours just like so that Zach only had it, and we are just kind of hoping like maybe like we get to sleep in until like 8:30, and then we end up doing like a different route instead, just because like I don't know, honestly, coming off of Buffalo Run and in between this Tiger Claw 50K coming up in a few weeks, like it probably is, in quotes like too big of an effort to do for my body, but honestly it ended up being fine. We woke
It's
up at
43 miles.
Yeah, it's about 42, 43 and like 11, 12K of vert. And it's just
Okay.
like basically packed into
It's a
two
big
climbs.
day.
Yeah, it's a big day. Got up, got everything ready, drove to the trailhead, and took our dumps and everything, and then we we had to run like 0.7 to the actual south rim because the parking, you can't park at that South Kaibab trailhead. It's only like reserved for shuttles and stuff, so we had to run another 0.7 to get to the actual start. Filled up all our water bottles because there's no where to fill them at our campsite. That was kind of no bathroom, nothing there. And then we started at 3:57 a.m. Bombed it down into the canyon, which is just super fun, but also like it's pretty dark and dusty, so vision is not the best, and my night vision is pretty terrible, honestly. So I had my light on brightest, and it was a bit unfortunate that Barrett couldn't find his headlamp in the morning, so he had to be in like the middle of Zach and I with our lights, and just kind of try to follow each one of Zach's steps as best as he could down. So it's about like 6 miles down to the river, the Colorado River, from the top of the South Rim, and like 4,500 feet of descent, like just bombed it down on switchbacks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we get to the south. We get to the river. I'm not sure how long it took us. Maybe an hour 10. I don't know what it took. I had to take a bathroom break at one of the bathrooms at mile 4 already because the yerba mate I had taken before was starting to kick in. We crossed the river, and it was so funny because we come across these people, and like everyone basically had just started. Whoever's down there and just either started at like 2, 3, or 4. So everyone's kind of like just warming up, getting into it. And we ran into people that had already lost somebody. I was like, what is going on down here, guys? Like, seriously, there's like one way in, basically, one way out, basically. So, like, you would either had to pass them or they would have had to pass you for anyone to get lost. Like, oh, have you guys seen Sam? I was like, what are you talking about? Like, how have you already lost someone in here? Like, what kind of operation are you guys running? Like, you guys got to stick together. and then we passed Phantom Ranch at like 7 point something miles. That's like the big like camp down there that has like full houses basically for people to stay in and camp. Like it's like glamping basically. Like you can have mules basically carry down all your stuff, and
Which
there's
people
like
do, I bet.
there's a nice canteen there where people get lemonade. It was too early for that, so nothing was open, but yeah, there's bathrooms, like the whole shebang's down there. Some people like usually boat in to the Colorado River and stop there. It's like a nice little stop. We pass by there, we see some more people, and they're looking for somebody else, and we're like, how did you guys lose a member of your group too? Like what? Like is the canyon just taking bodies down here? Like seriously, what's going on? Like how are you guys losing people this early? Like another group, and we're like, all right, well we'll look for them. Like we'll be running, so we'll be looking for them, and hopefully they'll be on the trail. I'm not sure what other trail they're taking, but we kept running, and everything felt super smooth, and then the sun started to rise, and it was just super beautiful. Clouds were pink, like nice pink hues or orangish hues, and we were a little nervous that like the sun seemed to start to rise earlier than we expected with like the impending heat. We were a little worried for that, although we were kind of prepared to handle it. We knew that was going to be hot. Um, we got eventually got up to Manzanita, which is like another water stop that's available during this time of year, and felt pretty good. And then from there, that's when the real climb starts up the north side. um, and that climb honestly feels like longer and steeper than the south rim. I'm not sure the exact statistics on it, but since you start
Is
like
that about halfway?
I mean halfway of the out and back would be somewhere around like the Box Canyons, which is right after Phantom Ranch, but like it's basically rolling uphill until you get to Manzanita, which is I'd say, let me think here, probably like 6 7 miles of rolling uphill, and then you like basically start climbing for like 4 to 5, just like basically straight up. And it's nice because there's switchbacks and stuff, but it was cool. Like you know who we saw out there?
Oh,
The most random person ever. What are you looking at over there?
I'm looking at your Strava.
Is that what
Just
it
trying to,
is?
yeah, I
Oh
was
yeah,
trying to
yeah, yeah,
figure out where.
yeah. So yeah, the North Rim's
Who
over
did,
there.
who did you see?
We saw Pam Reed. She's the woman. I think she's in her 70s. Um, but she's the woman that ran both of our early, like I mean, or late winter races this year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, she's like a total legend, and she was coming down from
dude.
the North Rim as we were going up. So she must have started much earlier than us. But there's the river right there. Phantom Ranch is that green spot.
Right here.
Yeah, right there. And then like from there, you basically start progressively like rolling on an upward, like a slight gradient uphill through these box canyons.
So this
Um,
is all uphill. So it
yeah,
goes
that's
down to this point and then goes
basically,
back up.
yeah, it's starting to go uphill there, and it's like progressively like it's probably back near like mile 7 right there. Like, yeah, right around mile 7, it starts to like go uphill. You can see like the ramp right there.
Yeah.
And then you get to what is that, like mile 16, 17, and it just starts to go up substantially.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's kind of like sort of around where we saw Pam. And it was funny. We're like, hey, I had done Black Canyon and my friend had done Arrowhead and you did both of them. And she's like, yeah, and I'm doing Canyons 100 miler in a few weeks here. And just like, and you're doing rim to rim to rim too. Like, she just seemed like, you know, those people that like seem like they never have stepped a foot like inside like a building before. Like, their skin is just like the most tan ever. It's like
Yeah,
leathery
yeah.
at a certain
Yeah.
point where it just doesn't look like they've ever like been within like four walls.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pretty funny. Yeah, and she was just like happy, go lucky. I think Zach got a nice video of her. Like, just he's like, "Can I get a video of you quick?" Like, just like shameless. Like, oh, so funny. And then she was like telling us like how much more it would be at a certain point to get to the top. We got to the top and it felt really good. I think it was like 4 hours and like 40 minutes, which meant that we were on our pace for 9 hours for the negative split. Just because going back the other way would seemingly take less time because you're rolling downward for a lot longer, and then the climb seems like a little bit shorter. But we started bombing down the hill, and like everyone started to feel like the impact of how steep it was on the downhill, and it
Hmm.
hurt a lot more than going uphill. So we were all feeling good until we got to like back to Manzanita, and it seemed like Zach was starting to get out of it, and I don't think he was taking in many calories. Unfortunately, I think he had brought like pickles, some beef tallow chips, and like some no bake cookie ingredients in a bag, basically, and that was not nearly enough for an effort that we were going at, plus the distance, plus the vert. So we started to keep rolling downhill, and it seemed like he was starting to lose some, like start to drop off of us, like Barrett and I. We are kind of just rolling down, and we kept like, holding back a little bit, waited up for him a little bit, and then we got to like the box canyons before Phantom Ranch, and like we just kept rolling, and I think that's when like we kind of like broke the tension between us, and so then we got to, because we were trying to stay on pace for that 9 hours, and we were trying to like push for it. I think everyone had agreed that we were just gonna like go for it. We got to Phantom Ranch at like 6 hours and 50 minutes, which means that we would have had 2:10 to go like 6.5 miles, but it was like 4,500 feet of vert, so it would have been pushing for sure. It would have been close.
Yeah.
But Zach ended up arriving like 20 minutes after us, and then we ended up waiting there for I think 50 more minutes just for him to like be able to recoup and kind of settle in and get some more calories and electrolytes. And I think it was nice because it was a very good learning lesson for not only Zach but me, in that like I knew that he didn't like have really enough calories and stuff to begin with, and I don't think he really wanted to carry as much, plus like try to eat it during the runs because he didn't really practice it. So I think
Yeah.
for me going into something like this, if someone's in that same position next time, to be a little bit more strict and hold them a little bit more accountable before we like get into something like that, because like at that point like I felt like it was part of my responsibility that I had, not done a good enough job like letting him know that he should be taking any more calories, even though he's like a obviously an adult, and like he has seen and heard of all these things, but to apply it and to practice it is a lot different. And I think he was just worried of like trying to take in all these calories while trying to chase us down, because we were moving pretty quick. Like at some points we were like low sevens at like mile 29, 30. So I think he was just nervous that he would like get dropped even further if he stopped or slowed down to
Yeah.
eat. Um,
What types of calories were you guys bringing out there? Were they liquid or?
I literally just brought only gels. Like I had like 20 something gels, and I had like 120 grams of carbs per hour, and just brought like, yeah, my Science and Sport Beta Fuel gels that are 40 grams, and then my Carbs Fuel 50 grams, and just kind of rotated those. I think Barrett was kind of on the same wave. He was doing the Science and Sport Beta Fuel, but also mixing it in some like Twizzlers and some like Pop Tart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in the future, maybe I'll bring like some. I wanted to bring some actual real food. I honestly forgot in the morning, but the gels honestly ended up being fine for me. I can take those down pretty easy. But it was actually pretty fun when we were just sitting there at Phantom Ranch for like that hour 10, whatever it was, and just like people watching, because the things that people bring down to this canyon are absolutely absurd. Like there was like things like that my eyes had just like never seen before. Like so I didn't even know what they were used for. Like I couldn't even begin to describe like what I was seeing, because it was just like so niche
Like
and like
just way too much gear or?
yes, like the most
Yeah.
like random stuff. It was like people that you wouldn't expect to be able to get back out of the canyon, that were
Yeah,
bringing like
yeah,
50
yeah,
pounds of gear down there to
yeah.
the canyon. I'm like, you're literally gonna anchor yourself down here forever and like get a helicopter to come get you. Like this is not smart. And I asked somebody, I was like, this one lady, she was funny. She was wearing like sunglasses and then like a funny like little banana or bandana, and then like bunny ears and like a sombrero, like the funniest stuff. And then she had like this fan, like this huge fan around her neck, like on a chain. Like there's no way that's not blowing hot air, because it's like 95 degrees down here at the bottom of this canyon. But anyway, like I asked her, I was like, "Oh, like what is all this stuff you're carrying, and like do you feel like you actually need all that stuff?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm a diva." I'm like I'm like, "Okay."
It's a good response.
I'm like, "Fair enough, fair enough. Like, yeah, you got me. Like if you need it and like if you want to use all that stuff, fair enough." Like just like it seemed like people were just like hoarders down there, which was just,
Yeah.
for some people I get it though. Like if you're not confident in your like physical ability, maybe like you want some things to help you like compensate for that and like make you feel like more comfortable, but it
Yeah.
ends up hurting you more than it helps, because that climb out, honestly, like we were moving at like 20-25 minutes per mile, like
I saw that.
up out
Yeah.
of there, and like that's like death marching to us. But for like, I'd say like a person that's not in ultra running shape or consistently doing aerobic activity, I think a good mile time out of there per mile would be like an hour plus easily.
Dude,
Like, like
At mile 30, from 35 to 36, you went from sub 10-minute mile pace to 18. And then your next lowest mile after that was 21,
Yes.
22.
And like I'd say like the people like that are like in good hiking shape would probably be doing like what we're doing to like 45 to 50 minutes because it's
Yeah.
just so much, especially if you're coming back from like the North Rim. But a lot of these people are just going down to Phantom Ranch, getting like their lemonade, chilling there for like 2 hours,
And
and then
going
like
back up.
coming
Yeah.
back up. And that would be a whole day because each mile was taking you like an hour, and it's
Yeah.
so steep
Wow.
to get out of there. It's like 6 miles
Yeah.
and 4,500 feet of vert. So it's a big endeavor and something that Natalie and I want to do with our parents at some point, and like maybe like create like a training plan for them to do. I
Mm.
just think that downhill would kill because the amount of impact you're gonna be taking and kind of like bracing is insane. Like, and I just don't know if like I don't know if our parents would be able to handle it. It would require like a good training plan. But based on like the people that I've seen down there, they're pretty comparable to where our parents are at in fitness, I'd say.
Mm.
So like as long as they like train for it hard and like maybe prepare like a year or two, I think they'd be able to pull it off because it's like it's no joke, honestly. Like I think it's hot too, and there's no water spots from the river to Phantom Ranch to the top. So you're basically stuck either carrying a ton of water and weighing down, or just carrying less and being thirsty and dehydrated. So it's a tough call to make. But we ended up getting out in I think 11 hours and like 9 minutes. Our goal was like sub 9 hours. But that kind of went out the window, and we just wanted like finish and enjoy our time and actually survive. We ended up passing the woman that was with Pam at a certain point. Like we had met them when they were coming down from the North Rim and we were going up, and we were thinking like we'd catch up to them at some point, but we were kind of stalled for a bit, so we were like, oh, we probably won't see them. But it turned out that the woman that Pam was running and hiking with ended up getting like really sick. So we saw her like near like the last like two switchbacks, and it looked like her like husband had came down and was like carrying her vest for her and stuff. So that's the reality of the canyon too. Like it's almost like at least one person of any group is gonna bonk no matter what because
Yeah.
it takes victims down there. Like it's almost inevitable. Like last time Natalie and I went, I think two people out of the four in our group, like I'm not gonna say who, and it could have been Natalie, but like had a really hard time getting out that last climb just because it's like you're 40 or like you're like 35 miles in and you still have
Yeah.
4 to 5K of vert to go. Like in one push is just it's mind numbing at a certain point. Like you just feel like there can't be any more to go up, and you just keep going. So it was awesome. It was a good trip. We were on the fence about driving fully home the night like
What time did you guys finish? Did you say?
we finished like so if we started at 4, it took us 11 hours. We finished at like 3:30, 3-ish, I think.
Yeah. And how far is
So
that drive back home?
I think the drive home was like 8.5 hours.
That's such a long day.
I know. So we ended up needing to stop for food. There's like nothing in this Tusayan town that was like 15-20 minutes south of the South Rim. It's like all just terrible food, like absolutely awful. So we ended up going to Wendy's, and I got like a Baconator and like some fries and like a Frosty, which like we needed the calories, so it helped in that way. And then we just decided.
Did you go through Flagstaff or did you cut across the Cameron?
We came back the way we came, like around like the east side of the canyon, which is the fastest to get back to Salt Lake. So we went like back like towards like Page and
Oh, I see. Okay.
that area, but near like Horsetooth Bend and Lake Powell. But like at a certain point, I think like an hour into the drive, we had planned to go stop back in St. George, where or like near Zion National Park actually, because Barrett was going to volunteer at the Zion 100 overnight for 8 hours at one of the aid stations. Like he was like planning to do that because he needs to do that for one of his races this year.
Yeah.
Like the volunteering thing. And we were basically telling him like that's probably not a good idea, dude. And like I think you want to think about it for a bit. And then he ended up just like randomly saying like we're just gonna go home, guys. Like it's not worth me dropping or you dropping me off, me being there for 8 hours trying to stay up after doing this, and then you guys just like being at one of my relatives' house chilling until the morning, and then having to drive back another 4 or 5 hours. So we're just gonna send it back. And we're like Zach and I were like, oh yeah, that's fine with us. Like let's go for it. So we drove back. Zach was pretty chalked, so he was in the back seat, like sprawled out, cramping and stuff, and kind of just like trying to recoup. Stopped at the gas station for a Gatorade nipple top and like some
It's a
Dasani,
Gatorade nipple top.
like the ones like that you can like the little twist top.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
I got one on the way there, got one on the way back. Those things just hit so well.
Yeah.
Stopped there, and then our second stop was back in Kanab, where we had stopped for Escobar's Burrito and that relight. And this time there's like nothing else open. So Zach was just so set on the first time we passed through. He's like, guys, just trust me. Like there's this grocery store and there's this grocery store chicken within the grocery store that we need to get. It's like this fried chicken. Like the crust is just perfect. The wedge fries are so huge. So like we were like, no, we're not doing that on the way there. Like that's going to make us feel horrible for the canyon. But then on the way back, we were just like, well, Zach, it's the only thing open. We should just go for it. Might as well. And, it's like one of those places where you like pull up in like Cub Foods or like Byerly's or whatever. And like, it's like served over the counter, that type of thing. Like it's like in like the little like glass little thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, at that point it was like 10 p.m. or whatever. No, 9 p.m., 9:15. And obviously there's no one back there working those things. So it was just the little, display right near the registers that had like heating up the chicken or just like keeping it warm for like the past like 8 hours, whatever it was. So we, oh my gosh, the people in this grocery store were hilarious too. Like the two guys working the registers, like it was so funny. Like Zach was just being himself, and they were literally checking someone out, and then mid checking someone out, they like walk over to Zach and like investigate the chicken to make sure that it's okay for him to eat, like make sure that's not expired or something.
Oh.
And like make sure it's like not gross,
decaying. Yeah,
decaying. He's like, oh no, you're fine, you're good, like we'll get you.
It's only been here for a few days.
Yeah. So we both grabbed like a chicken tender bag of like three chicken tenders. 4 ended up being in my bag, so I'm happy with that. I got an extra one. And then you got like this huge box of wedges. There was like 20 wedges in there. They were all like this long and like huge. So they were like a full like potato. Like basically, that was basically a full potato. And we ended up eating them outside of the car because Barrett was pretty strict on us eating in the car. So we were just like chilling outside, like eating over like these like the cage of like firewood outside. And then there's like people in the parking lot scootering around like these mini scooters, these little kids buying Saratoga Springs water. Have you seen that where on Instagram where like the guy like wakes up at 4 a.m., dunks his face in the Saratoga Springs?
Yeah.
Like they were doing like one of those videos in the parking lot. Like it was just like the total scenes. And we're like, are all these people NPCs? And then we like look back at us and we're like, eating this like Champs chicken in like the window of the grocery store outside, like just chowing down. And we're like, we are NPCs.
You are,
like,
you're
like,
part of that.
We are part of it right now, for sure. So then we get back in the car and just drive back home, and Zach ends up telling some crazy stories. And then we finally get back to Zach's house, and I have to drive like another 40 minutes back to my house. But ended up getting back at like 3 a.m., I think. So it was basically like a 24-hour day of being up pretty much, if not more. But it was totally worth it. Like, I think it should be on every runner or every ultra runner, let alone runner's like bucket list to do that at some point, the rim to rim to rim. It's just one of those things that's just so epic, being in one of the 7 wonders of the world and experiencing God's creation, and being able to do that is such a privilege and a gift in itself. And I'm just so lucky that my work was able to get that time off approved and able to do that with the guys in kind of short notice, and such a good time, and able to be back for church on Sunday, which is cool. Was a bit sore the next day, but not totally too bad. I think it helped that we weren't able to put in a hard effort those last 6 miles and just had to kind of like walk it out. Otherwise, I think I would have been pretty chalked. So these last few days of training, the last Monday, Tuesday, and now today is Wednesday, the 16th. I've just been kind of taking it easy, super easy, and letting my legs rest. Hayden, my coach, pushed my workout to next week, so I'll have to do that one in Boston when Natalie runs the Boston Marathon next Monday. Takes her actuary exam, her 7th one for one of her credentials on Tuesday the next day. So I'll be probably running a workout on that Tuesday while she's taking it. I think it's like a 3 to 4 hour exam, which is just nuts.
So she's running Boston on Monday and then taking a massive test on Tuesday.
Yeah, that requires like 300 to 400 hours of studying.
Jeez.
She's just an absolute unit. Just I honestly don't know if I've even can comprehend how hard like she's able to like stay disciplined, and like it doesn't make any sense, honestly. Like the way that she's able to like still like do all her running. She like bakes sourdough every day. Like it's a nice time also though, because like she's in between jobs now. Like she's her next job starts on like the 28th. So she's able to just put her focus right now into her studying, tapering, and making sourdough. And I keep saying that because like honestly, like once you like go down this rabbit hole of sourdough, like these
Lucy was talking about this
stop.
yesterday.
They don't stop because
yeah.
that thing keeps growing. Like it keeps doubling, and they're like, all right, we gotta make something else. We gotta make some pancakes. We gotta make some muffins. We gotta make some cookies. We gotta make some bread. We gotta make some banana bread. We gotta like she's got recipes up the wazoo that she's making like every day. And I think it's like big sourdough has got like a chokehold on her. But yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining because I reap a lot of the benefits of it.
Yeah, you get that tasty
and
food.
I'm like her sous chef that she says, and like I'm like her taste tester. So yeah, a lot of
does she have a time that she's shooting for?
Yeah, she's gonna try to go sub 3 hours and 20 minutes, which I think is like 7:37 or 7:36 pace.
That's solid.
Which would be solid. And that course is pretty hard, but I think that since we mostly do trails and like we're used to doing hills, I think it honestly suits us a little better with that differentiation of terrain and like using different muscle groups and stuff, because we're already like kind of using those. I think a lot of the road runners tend to blow up on a lot of the hills just because they're not used to it. Honestly, like a lot of the areas in the U.S. are pretty flat for running and not really conducive to training for someone like Boston, unless you're like very specific about it and like using like one hill and just going up and down, up and down. So that'll be super fun going to like some of the shakeouts and biking around Boston, like on Wednesday and stuff. We're gonna be staying with Dirty Murph and Luke. Since they live like in like Somerville or something like that, and that's pretty close to the area that we had stayed in like last year, so we're pretty familiar with like the public transit around that area and the bikes and everything like that. The system in Boston, like I've never really been to like an East Coast city and spent like the time I did last year in Boston, like 4 to 5 days, whatever it was. I was like never done that for an East Coast city, so I never realized how cool like public transportation could be and how much easier it is sometimes without a car when you have a city that's like built for it.
Yeah.
So like just taking the subway or like one of those like bikes that they have like just everywhere, kind of like a line bike. Like,
yeah.
Just taking those everywhere is just so much more fun and like almost engaging, and like makes you like feel like you're more present in the moment when you're not like driving a vehicle or just like, I don't know. It feels like you're
more connected to the city.
Yeah, you're more immersed.
Because you're using, yeah.
Exactly, and you're like you're around other people too, like, and just like, kind of like able to people watch everywhere.
Are you going to be e-biking alongside Natalie during the Boston Marathon?
I'm going to have like 3 drones like racing.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm going to have like 2 guys on e-bikes, almost just making sure that like she's got her own little lane there, because when I started out the Boston Marathon last year, it was almost like I was like in the middle of like, say, like a Rubik's Cube pattern of people where I'm in the middle and there's like 3 in the front, like 2 on either side of me, and then 3 in the back of me, where like, you can't move anywhere because it's like you're literally like, packed in like a sardine. The road isn't that wide. It's like a country road in the middle of like Massachusetts, so it's like not that big of a road. So like you're packed in there. So yeah, we're gonna have like e-bikes, probably drones, like
getting other people's way.
No, but Yeah, I think I'll just probably post up at the finish line like she did, just so that I can see like the elites come in, like Connor Mance and Clayton Young, and I don't know if Helen O'Beary's running it again, but like some of those people that are running at the front, and just be able to experience that and not have to stress about like making it to certain stops and like seeing her. But you never know. Maybe I'll do that and just not have to sit somewhere for like 3 hours at a time. Might be fun to try
Well,
to experience other places. So
if
we'll
you
see.
if you want to hook up, my aunt and uncle live on the bottom of Bunker Hill Road.
Really?
they're like I'm trying to find their address, but if you want, they always have people out there. My sister will be out there with her fresh newborn baby Rory.
Aww, that's
They
cute.
live in Newton. It's either I think it's Bunker Hill, bottom of Bunker Hill, in in the route. The marathon is literally like you step out their front door, and that's
No
the street
way.
people go on. Yeah, so if you're looking for a place to stay or just hang out, I think they at the bottom of their hill. Like one time I ran it in from there, and it was I think the final like 6 or 7 miles. So
Oh,
what
nice.
is that miles? 17 or 18?
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe a little bit more than
20.
that. More like 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
They call them like the
so
Newton Hills because that section is like known for being like the hardest. There's like
yep.
four significant hills like kind of chained in that area, and then it gets like rolling downhill for the last six. So I've just kind of told Natalie to focus from 16 to 20 and basically just save basically all you got for that because that's kind of what I did last year and just kind of push but like made sure I had some in the tank because it's nice to be able to cruise the last six knowing that you're gonna have your goal
Yeah.
intact, and just kind of soak everything in and enjoy it because the biggest things at Boston are like giving the energy back to the crowds that are just like
Mm,
not allowing you to have any lows out there. It's like impossible to have a low at Boston for in my opinion just because of how much energy and how much like you're getting like you should be charged up at all times. Like you shouldn't even be able to like creep into any like negative thoughts really. Like they don't even let you because they're
mm.
just like screaming at you like let's go man bun. Like that was me last year. Like maybe this year they're like let's go. Like I'm not running, but like let's go skinhead. Like like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So it was funny. Like there's a guy like on the loudspeaker last time like let's go man bun. I was like oh my god. Like and like the fact that like it fell out and it almost like looked like a Paul Revere style one was hilarious because I was just like so soaked from just just dousing myself at every aid station. But it does get hot. Usually the race starts pretty late just because the elites start a little bit earlier. So I started like 10:30 and I was already like sweating and it was like 70 degrees it felt like at that point and we were packed in like sardines. So making sure Natalie stays cool during the race and gets water at all the aid stations and stuff. But yeah, I would take your family up on that offer, but I think Murph would almost be offended if we didn't like stay with them.
I'm just
Um,
saying during the
oh, during the
race,
race? Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
like, um, yeah, do your thing with Murph, and I wouldn't offer someone's house that I don't have permission to offer. But, I'm sure they have like a Boston Marathon,
Like watch
watch
party.
party. So like, if you're looking, I know you're just saying that you didn't really know what you were gonna do during the race.
Yeah.
If,
Okay. I'll figure it out.
um, yeah,
You just send me
just
that
let me know.
address.
I'll send you the address. Just pop
I just
by
pulled
and
up
just
and
be
they're
like,
like, "Who is this guy?"
yo, I know your nephew.
Is it the Dowdle side or is it not the Dowdle
It's the
side?
Dowdle side.
Okay.
Dowdle
Okay.
side. So
Okay.
very, very, yeah, Irish. Just like,
Irish.
okay, you're coming. You're here. You're a part of this now.
Yeah, McGregor over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So that's
Um,
next. That's what's next on our calendar now. Um, and then we got Tiger Claw. I think in about 3 weeks in Seattle. So preparing for that. Been looking at YouTube videos and stuff on the course and figuring out what loop might be best to run first because it's like three loops and it's choose your own adventure basically. So that'll be fun and yeah. Yep. Last thing I got before I want to kick it over to you for any updates on questions and stuff you want to answer that you got on your post, your
yeah.
story. It's just that I should be getting in one of like the shoes from 910 Shoes to test out pretty soon here. That's like the closest it's been to me receiving it. I think that the courier, whatever they call it, picked it up, and ASAP was going to send me the tracking for it. But I'm pretty hyped on it. It's got basically like a custom shoe that I basically curated, so it can be pretty cool to be able to try that and know that I played like a pretty substantial part in it. I mean, I didn't like put it actually together, but I like basically said what the shoe should be. So all the materials, the drop height, all that stuff. So
And this will be the final because they sent you prototypes, right? That you were running in, or like
not yet, not yet.
this is the
No.
first like real shoe that
It's
they're
like,
sending you.
so yeah, so there's like maybe like 2 or 3 different types of shoes. Like this is gonna be like the one that's using more components from I think Vibram and like less customized, and then one that they're gonna be sending soon that's still like in development is one that's more customized and more their proprietary stuff I think, and more like freedom. So it's gonna be like there's 2 different things. It's a little confusing, but like they're
Are you gonna race in these, or are you gonna
yeah we'll see.
just
Yeah, we'll see if it
yeah?
ends up being like a good enough shoe that I feel confident enough in. Like
Why
I mean
not?
I don't see why not so far based on the looks of it. It looks pretty sweet based on like the photos I've seen. So excited to get it in my hands and to try it out and for people to see a shoe that's straight from Indonesia,
Yeah.
which is pretty sweet. All right, enough on me. Let's get to some of these questions that you had. Will you
Yeah.
pursue the path to Big's backyard?
Yeah, so the backyard ultras are definitely my jam. We've talked about this before on the pod. I've got looking at my calendar here, 2 weekends until Wausau's last person standing. And you, Alex, were actually the one that had really let me see the, I guess, like whole thing behind the backyard
Yep.
and like the actual like silver ticket races that lead you to the backyard worlds. And so I am going to pursue that. I've got the Ode de Laz on Saturday the 19th of July. And then that is a silver ticket race in 2026. So I'm going to go out this year and get a feel of that course so I know what to expect next year.
Yep.
And then
And then
there is, yeah, go
as
ahead.
a reminder, the team world championship is like October 17th, 2026.
Yep.
And it's interesting because I might be wrong here, but I think I'm like 99% right. You're not actually like the people from like Belgium that I think are the reigning champions. I don't know, I think they
I think
are.
you're right on that.
Were they like, yeah, Belgium? I'm pretty sure something like that. Yeah, they wouldn't be racing with you at the championship. They're
They'd
racing
be in a different location.
they're like racing in Belgium, but
Yep.
it's the team that's together. Like you'd be like, say you get on this team, you and Harvey Lewis, like
Yes.
you're like working with a team to go as far as you basically possibly
Yep.
can together and accumulate as many laps as possible. So say like you go 25 laps and you shut it down, that's like what you would contribute to the team, 25 laps. And
Yep.
whatever team, I think it's like 10 people or whatever it is, whatever team has the most laps combined is the winner of the overall championship. And then
Yep.
there's winners, individual winners, whoever goes like the furthest, that type of thing. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So
So it's like a it's funny because there's 61 countries across 6 continents, and Belgium emerged as the 2025 world champions, and um, it's super cool because it's like last person standing is a very it's I mean all races are pretty individual, but last person standing is like there's only one winner, so there's no second place, third place. There's one person that actually finishes the race. Everybody else does not finish.
yep,
And so it is a real battle out, but in this particular case it's like it's a team effort, but then there's also that aspect of, well, there's still only one person that wins your country's
yeah.
race.
So like
Now we're all working together, but
so say like so yeah, it was the 2024 world championship, team championship, and Belgium had 3 guys that went 458 miles together. I don't know what that is, like 4.5 days, whatever that is. And they ended up all ending together and like going out together. So no one ended up actually winning and getting that coin back for the team, I guess, in the next year. But since they went so far, like they'll have the at-large mileage to get them back in the field for the 2025 individual championship.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like there's individual championship, and then it's team championship, and the next year's individual, and the next year's team, and the next year I think that's how it goes.
So it switches off every year.
Yeah, so next year I think you had to qualify this past year for this 2025
individual
championship.
Yep.
And then so qualifying for 2026 you can do at the end of this year I think, and then early into next. And then, yeah.
So the individual is the one that's at Big's backyard.
Yeah, that's the one that's
Okay.
like that's the one that's you're all I think at the same spot racing each other basically.
Yep.
The team one is like I don't know if it's set per country or the country decides what course, but then you all kind of run together, and then it's like live tracking basically of like you can see how many people are left on this team, how many people are left in that team, that type of thing, like online. Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's also interesting.
Cool like the team aspect is cool because that's not like a normal part of backyard
of this
ultras.
race.
Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting to see like. Well, I mean, I'm looking at the qualifying. So I'm looking at the national champions from the 2024 World Championship team, and this is the race roster essentially for the 2025 individual championship. And you're seeing people like, Scott Snell, who is an American who won for the United States. He had 88 yards. Yep. Phil Gore from Australia had 96. And then you're seeing people like Argentina's national champion had 32 yards. Yep. And it's like, I won Wausau with 34. Now, you have to think about, like, I'm sure the competition in Argentina or Ukraine or Estonia or Latvia or Morocco, it's going to be much more, it's going to be different than it is here. But
definitely, yeah.
So just interesting to see.
If you win your world team championship, then you get
an automatic
bid into the individual championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like those Belgium guys that all tied, like they'll have an at-large bid that's good enough to get them in, but technically none of them actually won.
Right. Yep. They're the first 3 in the at-large bid.
That's the same thing with like Harvey Lewis. He had 108 yards.
Yep.
Like in a different backyard ultra, but since like in like 2023, but he didn't win the actual championship. The team won, so he still like is gonna get in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So that'll be interesting. So I am starting to see a path toward that and seeing this is kind of the lane that I'd like to go down. I have so I have 4 last person standing or backyard style ultras on my calendar this year. The first one coming up this May. So to answer that question, yes, I am beginning that pursuit towards Big's backyard, and I think without even knowing it, I've been on that pursuit since the beginning. I've always been drawn to this race for whatever reason. I really like the aspect of not having to worry about speed whatsoever, but just endure, just like getting in a rhythm. And the thing that I love most about the backyard race is like at certain points after you've done the loop 3 or 4 times, or at Wausau, like I've done it, this is my 4th or 5th time going back. And I know exactly where I'm supposed to be at each loop mark. And so like top of the hill at 22, like it does not matter if I feel like absolute crap or feel phenomenal. If I'm there at 22, that's all that matters. And so it's just like
about our backyard also, we'd have certain sections that we'd walk, and then you start running at like a certain like mailbox or tree, and then you like start like running, walking, like you'd know exactly where you needed to be at a certain time.
Yeah.
Which is nice
and
to have
you
like
can,
12 to 8 minutes, whatever. Yeah.
Yes. You can just put your energy onto consistency in a very tangible
Hmm.
way.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to answer that next question because I think it is not relevant.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an
So
injury question.
what interests you more? Say like the individual championship or the team championship? Like I know that the race honestly is like getting like fulfilling your own potential and like how far you can go, but then the team aspect kind of changes that a little bit where like you still have to go as far as you can possibly go, but it also you're doing it for the team too. Like you have other
Yeah.
people that are relying on you to like contribute to it. But would you rather have like less of that pressure and like have your own like you're going for yourself basically and like no one else needs to rely on you at all, like that type of thing?
Uh, that's a great question. And I think the reason, and this is probably part of the reason that I, you and I have talked about me signing up for Cocodona 250, which I will be doing this year. But like,
Oh, dude, that's gonna be
but
hyped.
it's gonna be hyped. But the thing is, like, I still think of myself as like Harvey Lewis is, but like, I can't beat him. Like, I have that mindset currently
Hmm.
right now because I haven't, because the most I've gone is 34. He's done
Yeah.
108. And so, like, I don't think of myself as on the same level of playing field as him yet. And that might be an issue with competitiveness in me. But that doesn't mean that I don't believe that I can get there. Just I haven't proven to myself that I can do that right now. And
Yeah.
so I think what interests me right now is being in a position where I can be around those people and have, like, we are a product, yes, of the environment that we're in. We're also a product of the choices that we make every single day.
Definitely.
But you're going to, if you're that type of person who shows up and is willing to compete and puts in a buttload of time and energy into being in a position to compete when you're there, like, I have no doubt that if I were to be on the same start line as Harvey Lewis and the best competitors in the world, like, I'd go well above and beyond 34 because I'm surrounded by other people that are at that level of playing
Yeah.
field.
Yeah, it's
Um,
hard in the backyard ultra especially because you might not know exactly how far you can get if you're the winner because like it ends when the second place person basically, says it's going to end. And they when they stop, you just basically have to prove that you can go another lap or finish out that lap. And I think in a lot of
yeah.
these, I mean, the backyard ultras that you've done, like, has there been anyone that's cleared 40 yards or like done something like that before? Like, where in the years that you hadn't run
No.
before?
No.
So, like, you haven't gone to an ultra, a backyard ultra yet that I'd say is competitive enough to like prove to yourself that you can get that far because you haven't
Right.
even like almost given yourself a chance to. Like you've like tried, like maybe you would have gotten there
Right.
if there's someone else there to do it, but sometimes you're at the mercy of who else is there and who's able to like help because it's like technically when you're in second place it's called an assist. um
Yep.
so yeah, I mean,
It
I
is
would be so curious to see like you just show up to the start line with some of these guys, like some of the Belgian guys, and like just you being able to observe them and like see what kind of like what they're doing and like see how they're operating, and like I think that would be a
right.
huge like I don't know eye opener. I mean, it was for me at Black Canyon, kind of for example, like putting myself
Right.
in a
Right.
competitive field, and then I was able to use that at Buffalo Run and basically just like use all the knowledge and like learnings and apply it as best as I could, and it ended up working out really well. So yeah, I think it'd be good that you step up to like one of these like silver silver ticket or whatever it's called races to show up because it's gonna be competitive because it's other people that are also wanting to get on this world's team.
Wanting that spot.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
So,
people that are just doing it for the backyard ultra. They're doing it for other things too, like to do more
right.
backyard ultras.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
against the
it's the
best.
difference between somebody who's like going out to run, you know, Western States or going out to run Hard Rock or going out to run Leadville and someone who's racing. Leadville.
Yes,
Like
yes,
it's just a different
it is
and
different.
and
It's different.
this race in particular, somebody who's just going out to like complete the Leadville 100 has no impact on the person that's racing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Leadville 100, but the person that's casually going out to run the backyard has a massive impact on how
Oh yeah,
far the race goes, because it's all about how far you guys can go together. So,
definitely. Yeah.
yep. Other than that, the only other thing I wanted to talk about is, and maybe this is just for a different day, is like training for Beer Mile.
hmm
But
We can touch on it quick. I mean, you've been
yeah,
doing track workouts. How has that been feeling? Being able to like kind of switch the stimulus up a little bit from going like I'd say like incredibly like backyard ultra pace to
yeah,
fast, like faster than mile pace, like faster than
it
your mile time.
sucks, dude. It is
Yeah,
so hard. It is.
it's a huge
It's good.
juxtaposition.
It's a good reminder of, just because you figured out how to overcome an obstacle doesn't mean you figured out how to overcome all obstacles.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
like
yes.
if I'm doing backyard style and running and dragging my butt through a long distance race, like you don't really have to increase the intensity. You just
hmm
have to endure the lowest possible intensity that you can take while still
hmm
continuing to move forward.
It's just
But
totally
in a
different. It's
track
different.
workout, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be able to experience the pain and either keep the intensity level or increase the intensity level. So it's like the exact opposite of what I'm used to doing.
hmm
And I will say, like, Kellen and I, we've been going at it, and it's been fun to have somebody out there to compete with. And it's also been fun to recognize how I feel like I put in more work, or like I had such a good workout after like a 2 mile in total track workout than
Yeah.
like going out for a 20-mile run. Like you
Yeah.
just feel like, oh my gosh, the body high you get from that is insane.
Yes, it is crazy. Like I caught a clip of like your latest video on it, and like how you like almost wanted to like quit or slow it down like
Yep.
200 meters, like halfway through the rep, just because like you get in that hole, and it's like you either have to like keep it up or increase at that point,
Yeah.
because like you're starting, if you're starting to fall back, like you have to keep going, and
Yeah.
it's a matter of like making that decision, and it's so hard to make that decision in the moment because
Yes.
everything's telling you like to stop and like to slow down, or like that you can't do it, and you just have to like, I don't know, you have to keep pushing your limits, which is hard. It is super hard. And then to step back up to the line, and like the doubt
Yeah.
creeps in your head to like, if you're able to like match your pace or
Mm-hmm.
do another rep again, is it's increasingly hard. I mean, but as you do it more and more, you get to a certain point in the workout where like you get more confidence, and then like realize that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that you're
Yep.
strong enough to pull it off, which is
Dude, it feels like an ultra. Like it feels like a
yeah,
marathon. Like
yeah,
if you're doing 8 reps of 800 meter repeats or 400-meter repeats, it feels like it's never ending at rep 4, and then you get to rep
yeah.
7 or 8, and you're like, why am I running these so free now? Like I feel
Yes,
like I can do
yes,
this now, and it's like
yep.
you go through that whole stage.
It's good
It's
practice
pretty
for
cool.
sure. It's good
It
practice for
is,
sure,
yeah.
because it's like you can get that stimulus, that mental stimulus, in such a short amount of time. It just takes a lot of intensity out of your body. And I would encourage you too, to when you're doing these, like when you continue to progress with these track workouts, to do it comfortably hard, so that you're not always like you're not always going full effort, or like trying to push it as
Mm.
hard as possible, because I think the more like volume that you're able to do with them, rather than like the short like bursts, kind of helps to
Yep.
keep progressing more and
Okay.
more, so that you don't like suck everything out of yourself. And like that's kind of where I've seen the most progress, is where like it might not feel like too hard, but like it's like at that threshold point where it feels smooth, and it feels like you have to focus on it, but it's not like you're gonna be totally like gassed and like laying down after each rep.
Yep. Yep.
Like you're able to like gear up and go. It's like still gonna be hard for sure, but like almost pull it back just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I know it's like natural for everyone, just like you're doing track workouts, you like want to do it as fast as you possibly can, or like want to like do this speed. But I think almost like pushing it back maybe 10-20 seconds per rep, and just kind of like making it smooth, making it feel controlled, and just doing more volume of it will
Okay.
like help in the long run. That's what I
So
guess.
so thinking like 80% and like can you
Yeah.
do 80% while not feeling completely gassed after or
Yes.
whatever that
Yes.
threshold is?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I would recommend. Just trying like just to switch things up a little bit,
Yeah.
and then like seeing how you feel, and maybe you can do 4 or 5 more, and you'll get more
You're
volume
right.
out of it.
Right.
And like
Right.
the biggest things kind of in training itself is like volume. Like that's like the biggest
Mm.
thing for ultra running is like getting that volume in. And people
Mm.
could argue with me in the comments there, but it seems like it's helped my progress a lot. And just I know a lot of people in track nowadays too are kind of getting on that double threshold workouts where they're not pushing the intensity so hard in the morning so that they can do another workout in the afternoon at like the same
Mm.
threshold effort. Where say they're doing in the morning like say 3 by 2 mile at threshold, which it's not they're gonna be running 2 miles as fast as they can, but they're doing it pretty quick. So say like their fastest mile ever is like 5 minutes. Like maybe they're doing this at like 5:30, 5:40 for the 2 miles, and then in the afternoon, like they're going back and doing like 400 meters 20 times, but they're doing it at like an effort that they can do it 20 times and it doesn't feel
Right.
like
Right.
they're going to break
Right.
down,
Right.
that type of thing. So, I mean, that's just a
Damn, 20
generalization, blanket
times.
statements. And then these are like elites, but like it's something that we can take away and like kind of apply. And like
For sure.
you want to go hard in workouts, but you also want to make sure that not, you're not running with your ego, and you're not like
Right.
running
Right.
as
Right.
fast as you possibly can every workout.
Well, it would be the same advice I would give someone who wants to start running is you should
Yes.
start running every day and
Yes.
not go overboard and get yourself injured or go overboard and like start with 10 miles a day, but start with 1 mile a day and build that
Definitely.
base. Yeah.
Definitely. Yep.
All right. Good stuff.
Nice, dude. Episode 16.